All right, so now let's take a look at what's on the front pages of our local dailies here to get you updated as well from the traffic and from the bulletin there. Now, what's happening on the papers? And on the front page of the Star, One Kenya Alliance in limbo as Moi and Musalia make fresh plans. Oka in limbo as Moi and Musalia make fresh plans. ANC Kanu signal that go it alone in 2022. Mudavadi eyes running mate from Central as Gideon ally. Promises earth-shattering announcement. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. And still on the front page, Raila, I will resign if I fail to deliver in what confirms he will be on the ballot in the August 2022 presidential election. The ODM leader yesterday said that he has the remedy to the ills bedeviling the youth, and should it fail to work, he will pave the way for another leader. Now, he promised to position Kenya as an ICT and e-commerce hub. Now, that is a clear indication that Honorable Raila will be on the ballot based on what he said there yesterday. Again, still on politics, will expose all land Kenyatta's own. That is according to Rigathi Gachagua. Madira MP Rigathi Gachagua has said Tanga will expose land owned by the Kenyatta family in response to increased attacks on Deputy President William Ruto. He said that they will no longer respond to allegations made by individuals who appear to have been sent by Uhuru. All right. So, on the front page, that is what's there. Okay, Cohen widow protests over her death, the death of her dog under KSPCA. Custody of the canines was among issues in the legal battle, and she said that she was informed of Major's death. That is according to her. Let me just give it to you. Sarah Wairimu revealed the dog died while in the care of Kenya's Society for the Protection and Care of Animals in Karen. This is despite her fruitless efforts to take care of the two pets named Major and Snow of the Labrador and Rottweiler breed and Rottweiler and Doberman breed. The custody of the dogs was among the issues at the center of the a legal battle in court. So she said that according to her, SPCA on June 26, 2021 said that the dog had suffered from cancer. That is what's there, and she's now protesting over the death of her pet. Okay, so the story of One Kenya Alliance future in limbo. It is emerged that the Collapsed Building Bridges initiative could have fundamentally bolstered plans by the big boys to craft a broad-based alliance. ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi yesterday said that he could pick his 2022 running mate from Mount Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta's backyard. The announcement raised the question of what positions his Oka partners would hold were he to be picked the alliance flag bearer. All right. The Oka principals are Mudavadi, Kanu's Gideon Moi, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, and Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya. It has also emerged that Gideon Moi could have changed his mind about backing someone else for the presidency. And speculation is rife that Gideon could also go all the way to the ballot to compete with the Deputy President William Ruto for the heart and soul of Rift Valley. So, some boiling pot in One Kenya Alliance house. We had the discussion some times ago with our analyst and said that One Kenya Alliance was, after the death of the BBI, everybody was now scampering for safety politically speaking, in terms of who is going to get what position. That all collapsed. But then now they are going to have that, the elephant in the room was who was going to be the flag bearer in the One Kenya Alliance coalition. And now it seems that none of them is budging.
And that was the conversation there was a while back on the Daily Nation, just after they had the meeting in Naivasha. According to a source that was in that meeting, they revealed that none of the principals are willing to step down for the other. And once the BBI political lifeline was pulled away, there only remains to be one position of presidency and the deputy. But no one wants to deputize the other, and no one wants to step down for the other when it comes to the top job. So sasa ni confusion galore. Nakumbuka jana tukisema tunakuanga na viewpoint, sasa tutakuwa na boiling point. In regards to our politics.
All right,
now, let me just pick it up here with the Daily Nation. Again, the top story here on the header, Ruto's running mate. Again, that headache is something that is bothering the deputy president and his team, because now the question is, whom will he pick from the vote-rich Mount Kenya region? And that story has been highlighted here on page 4 of the Daily Nation. And they go ahead and front some potential viable candidates. We have Anne Waiguru, Mwangi Kiunjuru, Justin Muturi, Mwangi Wairia, Kathure Kindiki rather, and Kiraito Murongi, Regina, I'm sorry. Muronge, I am sorry. I withdraw and apologize.
Yes, please.
Kiraito Muronge.
Yes, Muronge.
There we go.
Yes, the governor.
Yes, good. So according to DP and his handlers, they have identified these 6 as potential running mates, but nothing is conclusive. And looking at this, they say that these are viable and acceptable candidates, and especially so from the vote-rich Mount Kenya region. But the question still remains, whom is he going to pick, and should they be picked, will they accept to be his running mate? That is what we have here in regards to Deputy President William Ruto. And then the other stories in regards to paying the price for justice, and this is in regards to the prices that have been reviewed upwards by CJ Koome as she introduced higher fees for filing court cases, and this is after the judiciary got a slash in their budget from the initial 18.1 billion rather in the last financial year to 17.9 billion this financial year. And of course, these charges have already been uploaded rather, but according to lawyers and the legal fraternity, they have raised concerns over these steep charges, quote unquote, and saying that some matters and documents are still not functional on the in regards to the information that has been uploaded. So that is one of the changes that she has done from her predecessor's term.
Perhaps what are figures there, if you
let me just highlight briefly. Looking at the court library membership, the annual subscription was 500 Kenya shillings. Now it has doubled to 1,000 Kenya shillings. Any type of application at the High Court, except criminal matters, the old fees were 750. Now they are doubled to 1,500. Registration of arbitration awards at the Environment and Lands Court, old fees were 2,250. The new fees, 10,100.
Yeah, I think basically it will be for people who are seeking for justice, you know,
a high price to pay.
Exactly. Seeking for justice will be so expensive. From 2,000 to file an application in the courts to 10,000 shillings. So probably most people will have.
And these are cases that involve land.
Exactly.
You can imagine how many of those we have, and the backlog. Because these fees have already been uploaded. They have already been instituted. So it's just a question of them starting to be applied.
All right.
Anywho, now let me come to the main story on the front page of the Daily Nation. Kama hauna mtoto ako CBC, prepare. But now in regards to this particular story inside the CBC mock test for grade 5, this is a pilot mock exam that, or rather assessment. We are done with the exam terminology, but the assessment, the grade 5 mock assessment, is set to take place towards the end of this month, and this is meant to be the pilot of the actual grade 6 assessment that will be done next year for this first cohort under the CBC curriculum. This particular assessment that will be running from the 27th of this month, that is September, up until the 1st of October, is meant to just assess the effectiveness of the CBC thus far, and also just identify the loopholes that there still may be before the actual grade 6 assessment that will be done next year as we usher this cohort into junior secondary as is expected. Now, there have been so many complaints from teachers, parents when it comes to this CBC, and especially looking at the implementation, with the teachers complaining about infrastructure and preparation of the CBC, and on the other hand, parents complaining about the heavy involvement that CBC has come with, especially on the learners and the projects that they have to undertake with the learners. And of course, this is well in line with the CBC curriculum, and I can tell you as a parent who has a child who is under the CBC curriculum, it gets real. It gets real. Some of the projects, and then to make it worse, unapata mtoto anakuambia saa 3 usiku kwa mmeshalala, anakuja, "Mom, we need an alien for tomorrow's project. Can I get one?" Unashindwa sasa. Where do we even start?
From utopia.
Because the things that they ask for, they are not things that we under when we were in the 844 system ever even thought of, leave alone have. But now it is very practical, it is very hands-on, it is very involving also with the parents. So looking at this particular piloting of this the assessment, the mock assessment that the grade 5 are going to be doing, it's just going to give them an overview of what they should expect when it comes to the actual transitioning assessment next year. We're looking at grade 6. Doreen.
All right, so let's come to the People's Daily, and perhaps you can begin from that matters of politics and picking of a running mate. So even as that is happening at the national politics level, we also have that for governors, and this is specific in Kakamega County, where running mate factor in running mate factor.
Hey. Breathe in, breathe out.
Running mate factor in Kakamega County. So a number of them have already...
Did you hear that? Way, that doesn't pass.
Okay, fine, let's
drumstick or
mabawa.
Mabawa, which would work?
Manyoya. And then hii story kwanza ni watu wa Kakamega. Maybe this is why. This is why. All right. So a number of them have already popularized their bid, key among them being Kakamega Senator, that is Cleopas Malala, there's former Senator Boni Halwale, and the biggest issue, just going by this particular article, is how all of them are going to pick a running mate, given the fact that party affiliation is also a major issue, as some of the possible running mates are unwilling to quit their current parties and join gubernatorial candidates who belong to other parties. So that is what is happening in that particular county, even as the race for 2022 is... still on. Coming still back to politics, the Ruto headache for Uhuru, as president and his allies want the deputy out of the party, but nobody knows how to eject him. And just to read a bite from the SecGen Jubilee party, that is Raphael Tuju, he says he will not resign, referring to the DP. He is not that type of person. We know him. Let us concentrate on 2022. There's a lot that has been happening in regards to the deputy president. Just, some saying that we need to show actually how he has made his wealth. And there's, again, a lot of conversations surrounding him. And the question is just, why is all this happening now? We also have militia strike a day after state tightened security in Laikipia. We of course know what has been happening in that particular county, cases of insecurity there, but also the Interior CS Fred Matiang'i had mentioned that they are trying to get a permanent solution to this insecurity issues in Laikipia County. And part of what he mentioned is that this actually has nothing to do with pastures, much as there could be theft of those pastures there. But he says this is all politically instigated, and that's why they're trying to get and find a permanent solution to what is happening there. Coming to health matters, just going by that surveyed by Infotrack, is that majority of people live on borrowed time, and 68% of the surveyed health workers noted that health facilities in their counties and areas coped poorly when the nurses were on strike. Also, just going by that particular survey, it showed that for those that were heavily affected, especially during that nurses strike, were those people that had underlying conditions, and they were the worst hit amongst various issues that came out from that particular survey there. Ray.
what can I say? It seems the scribes have eloquently put it out and, giving us a sneak peek of what is making headlines in the last 24 hours. Matters of politics, matters of CBC continue taking center stage. But before we give you further details, we take a quick breather. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is In the Headlines on KBC Channel 1. Good morning, Kenya. Now, we were just giving you a sneak peek of what has been captured in our various dailies. I have a copy of the Standard with me, and it goes back to that situation we highlighted for you. Matters of politics. The bromance that we used to see between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto is no longer there. But the question of divorce between these two, how feasible is it? Is it anchored by the law? Is it possible as far as a political act is concerned? Now, this particular article goes with divorce. Uhuru is stuck with deputy. Why? Now, according to Kianduru Twitter, Gwandaru Twitter, he says, on impeachment, 2/3 of all National Assembly and Senate members are required a tall order considering the support Ruto attracts and his financial resources. On the other hand, Kabado says, that is a former Mukurweini MP, says the so-called Uhuru Ruto dynamo brain cannot be transplanted. The Constitution protects the deputy president against any removal except through impeachment, which is now not possible. But is it? What do you think with the current political headwinds that are blowing left, right and center? We're already having a deputy president there who is, hunting for the running mate for CAMP 2022. And we have seen a few names being dropped here and there, a possible talk of, some of those who have put in their cursor have already thrown their die into the chessboard in regard to matters, 2022. Do you think it's possible? Well, we are open to your feedback, and this is just giving your view. Remember, there is freedom of speech, and we welcome that particular feedback. You can reach us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 News. Now, limited options find its well on the front page of the Standard this morning, where despite trying all tricks in the political book to get Ruto to exit government, the president finds himself in a difficult space and now has to contend with his second in command. As we said, we are in the political season. It seems that we never stopped politicking after the elections there, and 2022 is just but around the corner. On the other hand, matters of politics, where Mudavadi says he is not going to, bow down to the edicts of Raila or Ruto, that he's still and he's ready to meet the two come 2022 on the ballot box. We all remember, and I want to take you down memory lane. Allow me, Victor, I'll be engaging you firmly on this. Remember when we were working towards the previous elections, not this ones.
Yeah.
There was talk about the third horse, remember? And this third horse was said to include Peter Kenneth, Martha Karua and Musalia Mudavadi. They were to ink an agreement here at the CBD, and the venue actually was to be, I think, the Jivanji Gardens. Kenyans were waiting for the third horse, and after waiting for so long, the three, remember it was a deadline, to submit this. One of the horsemen was nowhere to be seen. Following day, we hear now President Uhuru Kenyatta saying that it was the work of the devil. And that is how Musalia Mudavadi missed an opportunity to ink that particular agreement that would have given birth to the third horse. Victor, from where you sit, ANC party leaders' message to Raila and Ruto. Give me your take.
All right, mine will be very brief. You know, first of all, it all started from the collapse of the BBI, that is one. And all the principals in the defunct NASA coalition, all of them were equal partners, according to them. So once NASA broke up, all of them felt that they were having that equal opportunity to run this country. But then now the question was who was going to be better than the other person. Even as the BBI collapsed, now it was now time for them to start looking for votes from all walks of country. Remember, you've seen Musalia Mudavadi already going out there, you know, moving from one particular country to from country to county, so to speak, because in the past he was accused of just concentrating in Western region. Exactly. That people accused him of you know, having ANC as a community party instead of having a national party. Now, everybody is now trying to get their own manifesto out there, bit by bit, although they are not giving us the full dose. But if you look at how they're articulating their issues, Musalia Mudavadi is now moving as a force. Everybody from the NASA coalition, talk of Kalonzo Musyoka, nobody wants to deputize another or the other person. Now, the question that most people will be asking themselves moving forward is, Raila Odinga is here. Atachukua nani? Kalonzo Musyoka also not ready to deputize anybody else. And Asema, yeah, he's going to the ballot direct. Who is going to be there? Deputy President. Musalia Mudavadi says that his experience, he's an economist, and his work is to turn around the economy in this particular country. The question is, nani atakuwa deputy wake?
Ambaye atakubali kuwa deputy.
You get it. So even that question we talked about with our analyst here yesterday and yesterday but one, and they all agree that it's now going to be the toughest exam and test for all these presidential flag bearers, people who have already declared their presidency and their stand to run for the top seat, on who to pick. Now, and my question was, is it a must to go to Mount Kenya? Yes, we all know Mount Kenya has a voice. But kama mtu ametoka tu from nowhere, I'm going to pick a Borana as my running mate, what would happen? I'm going to pick a Kisii, I'm going to pick a Kuria, I'm going to pick somebody from Giriama, you know, from nowhere. What would happen?
Good question. And I want to point to the 2019 survey, population survey, that shows what community has the numbers. Because when we're walking towards the general election, issues of numbers come into play.
Oh, yes.
And over the years, our history has gone ahead and showed us that we forget the policies, the strategies, the slogans, the manifestos. We go back to where do I come from, my name and such. So the game of numbers will still come into play. And I like the question that you've posed. What if these people went for a Borana, as you say, the marginalized communities, or even the Wayu community? Would they still have what it takes to get, is it the 50+1?
Yes,
or is it going to be a simple majority? We do not know.
50+1.
But then the question would be, if, I'm looking at it this way, if I was to be approached, and I'm saying hypothetically, and if I was in the political scene, and I already know what is happening, that a deputy president, or rather a running mate, is very important at this point, might actually mean a fail or a win. Nezaringa sana.
Regardless.
Man,
regardless.
You see, Regina,
I would set the bar so high, and I think that's why each and every person who's already cast their die for the presidential position or seat come 2022 is doing everything that they can marshal people behind them so that they can have clout, so that when they come to the negotiation table, they say, by the way, I will be delivering X.
Regina, you see, the danger in having that is we all see what's happening across the country right now. if you happen to pick a deputy from a population, let me say from one tribe, okay, not to mention any, then perhaps what you're seeing, the difference and the cracks between the deputy and his boss, the deputy might feel so entitled because he'll say or she will say that you are there because of me, okay, because of our numbers. Kama si mimi aungekuwa hapo. But then that is the reason why nimeuliza swali, are we able now to change the narrative and say one of these presidential aspirants would just, you know, from nowhere say, I'm going to pick my deputy from a marginalized community and then sell that person to the country?
You know, Vic, something that we as a people that we need to actually just accept for what it is, is that our politics, for as long as we have known in our country, always have an ethnic inclination. Tribes have always had power when it comes to our politics.
And politicians know that.
And politicians know that. And they leverage on that. They exploit that. This is why you are seeing them saying, I'm going to go to this region. Then next week, I'm going for the Kikuyu vote. The other week, I'm going for the Kalenjin vote. Then I'm going for the Luya vote. Then I'm going for the Kisii vote. Then I go for the Giriama vote. It is never, I'm going to tour this place without mentioning the tribe. And that is something that, as long as our politicians continue to use, they will always have an upper hand over the people when it comes to either uniting or dividing us.
They've mastered the art.
Yeah, they're very strategic when they say the vote reached 6 million Mount Kenya vote.
It has to be that specific number.
Your word.
Someone is giving you a formula.
Hakuna politician anakosanga kutumia hiyo. The vote reach?
Region.
That's count. And
6 million?
Mount Kenya.
Mount Kenya region. Right. Maruscape. Mount Kenya split in the middle.
We've never had a
west.
That was actually a good question you asked, Victor, there. But you see, that just the way you're trying to say that is the major problem. And again, if you look at how even the Western region was looking like, that's why they kept talking about, can there be unity in that area? Can there be unity in the Western region? Because they fully understand how, when you get an entire area to be united, how that is going to mean to any political aspirant. And yes, perhaps it may be a good direction to try and venture into that. Perhaps can someone, any of these aspirants, can anyone just pick a running mate from those marginalized area, even someone that perhaps you do not know them, perhaps even begin to groom them? But how dangerous is that?
For them, that is not politically viable.
It can be something good because at least you're trying to explore other options.
It's not. But it's not a political survival line.
It's not.
Here it's political suicide.
And Victor,
for them.
there's someone who's giving you a formula. He goes by the name Jackson. He says, Victor.
Yes.
When push comes to shove, politician, that's when the math comes in. Hesabu, I don't know if you remember this formula. Politicians vying for presidency use board mass.
Brackets of
division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction.
Right?
Wow. How can you pick a running mate from another region and Mount Kenya has the highest number of voters?
The numbers.
Board mass. That is from Jackson Kehara, who is watching from Nairobi area. And also on Twitter, we have our viewer Marangu Alfred, who says, I'm watching from Upper Hill. This normally happens, and goes further to say Kalonzo is not going to join others. Mudavadi the same. Moi the same. So who will step up for the others? Meaning Ruto or Raila will automatically win.
And let me tell you,
you know,
in all this,
because everyone now wants to go independently because no one wants to step down for either.
Let me tell you, Doreen, politics is always calculated. There's nothing random. Mimi nakwambia, wacha ifike December or March, vile these politicians will unite and align tutaitana. Tuko hapa tukidhani we have how many presidential candidates? There's Raila, there's Deputy President William Ruto, there's Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, there's the one that we made here on Good Morning Kenya yesterday. There was a presidential declaration was made here. We are we are seeing almost 10 aspirants.
But
wacha ifike March.
But
mutakumbuka the words that His Excellency said. Come together, unite behind Raila Odinga. I will give you my support. But if pandengine muone wame unite under this leader, tutakuwa na candidates wawili ama watatu max.
So, but what if the way we are saying that politics, elections is actually calculated, and then we have all these many aspirants?
It's just so random.
So that we can have space for these two that we know of. So wakiwa independent like that, it's like nothing as opposed to when they are united. So maybe it's actually they're supposed to be that way, so that these two can now contend among, because it's actually calculated.
Clarity wataleta kwa chaos.
When you're wooing, when you're wooing a girl, yeah, definitely you want that girl. You have to put your best foot forward. Na unaanzanga kupiga kelele kutoka mbali. Who are her brothers, her sisters, you know, before you even come to the homestead. You do away with all the other. And now the girl here is Wanjiko's vote. We have so many suitors. Yeah. But my question is, as a girl,
Wanjiko pick?
As Wanjiko, have we raised our bar high up? Or are we going to lower it for just any person to actually take our hand come the general elections 2022?
Me nakwambia Regina, we're in a toxic relationship.
Very toxic.
After elections,
because we keep having these conversations every election year. We keep having.
Few months to come, we'll have a lot of work because there'll be so much happening. We'll be spoiled for choice.
Then you remember there's the fourth force.
My question is, have we come of age as Wanjiko? Have we come of age to say, you know what, I am looking beyond your third name. I'm looking beyond Regina, where you come from.
That will remain a question. Politics will negate that question at the right time.
Tajo, if the bar has been raised or how low it is.
You will raise that question pretty well. You know, advising the Mwananchi, but kuna hiyo time itafika, there is that euphoria.
What happens that we forget ourselves? What happens that we forget that the economy, when the value of the shilling goes down, we all feel it. When the cost of education goes up, we feel it. Yeah. Right now we are talking about how CBC is running into headwinds.
Yeah.
Now we are already talking about the issue of drought. We are talking about why electricity is expensive as it is.
It is okay.
We are united right now, but come the day we go to the ballot, we remember, I come from the mountain that I understand is split. I don't know.
And we forget about
you come from the western region.
We forget about electricity.
I don't know.
Kidhai anaandika ngoma. Tutasahau.
Na itawakumbusha.
Tutasahau.
I think we need to have an exit clause. And I remember when we were passing the Constitution 2010, there was an aspect that if our leaders do not perform as per what the constituents want, that we will get an opportunity to shove them out. But over the years, we have seen, even with impeachment trials happening, but when it gets to the Senate, the persons get reinstated. It has been very good on paper, but we have not seen it materialize. Man.
Isn't that also what former Premier just declared? Should he fail to deliver, he will willingly resign and step aside for the next person.
Raila, I'll resign if I fail to deliver.
Wait to see that. It's one thing to say it, it's a different story to do it.
Na nataka kuuliza.
Kuna maswali nyingi leo.
Kuna swali, Victor.
Regina, yes.
And I know I come from the mountain and it is split and all that. Niko na swali.
Wewe kwanza ni wa west.
So I even don't know. I even don't know if it's a windward, leeward. I don't know. I've never heard of a mountain split. I am hearing it now. So Victor, so Raila Odinga says that if he doesn't clinch the presidency 2022, he will resign.
No, if he's the president and fails to deliver,
he will resign. Oh.
If we choose him as the president and he fails to deliver, he will resign and willingly step aside for the next
Just going by what
candidate.
you're saying.
Look at the age factor. I'm bringing in the age factor. Victor, you know what I'm not saying. Look at the age factor. I'm just saying factor.
The age factor.
My mountain is showing. The age factor. If yes, I am president and I do not deliver, I will resign. Was there another option as far as age is concerned? Remember, we've been talking about why 2022 is a do or die.
All right. I think what we can just have right now is to hold him and wait, if at all, to his word. He's a politician, and we all know that every statement they make is political.
Good. Talking about before you continue, I want you to add what Kalonzo says into that statement. Kalonzo says, on the other hand, that if he is president, he will offer free education. To you, Victor, you are saying?
Yeah. So politicians will always make appealing statements. And I can assure you, Kenyans love politics.
Yeah.
What sells to me and to the masses out there are the promises. We work pretty well. Kenyans work pretty well under promises. And so are human beings. If you can promise me that if I do this, this is what you're going to give me as a reward, then perhaps somebody will go out there and deliver. But then, as a media, that was captured. At one point, remember, media, we don't forget. More so, this particular station, our library goes back to way years ago. We'll always go back to the library and play it for you. So, if you'll deliver, Honorable Raila Odinga, well and good. If you'll not, according to your word, again, it will be a matter of wait and see.
Politics 101.
Politics 101.
Man.
We have a few minutes to end in the headlines. Okay. So, talk about politics, ladies. There's a bill, the bill scrapping degrees for lawmakers tabled in Senate. We saw this coming. It has been long
time
again.
Coming.
So it is a race against time to save politicians without degrees, as two bills seeking to scrap the requirement were tabled in the Senate yesterday. The identical bills, the Election Amendment Bill 2021, were introduced in the House for the first reading in an apparent spirited attempt to save aspiring politicians without degree certificates. The bills are amending Section 22 of the Election Act 2011, which requires all candidates for political seats to have a degree qualification from the next election. They are sponsored by Senators Kipchumba Murkomen of Elgeyo Marakwet and Ledama Olekina of Narok. This bill was supposed to take effect in the last election, but it was thwarted because they argued there was time factor there, and they were given another time, 10 years down the line, for people to acquire degree certificates, but then again, it has not worked. So it's in the Senate for the first reading. Chances are, will it go through? Yes or no? Okay.
I have one question.
Yes.
Whenever anyone applies for a job, kuna kwanga na JD and qualifications that you and requirements that you need to meet in order to get that job. And we never get exceptions. So why is it such a big deal for our politicians to accept that they need to have this as part of their requirements to get these positions? And you know, kidogo today, there are those that argue we have very good leaders that we will be locking out because of this requirement. And especially looking at the local level, because it gets to a certain point where a certain office requires a certain level of education in order to be competent enough to perform. But looking at also this narrative, do you think these exceptions that we make here and there are what, in the long run, come to bite us back?
Oh, well, but you had some say that leadership is God-given, that leaders are people that can understand the needs of the people. And some would say that having that education background, that degree, diploma, whatever it is, does not in any way make you understand our needs. So your question is quite valid. That could be true in essence, but might it come to bite us?
You know, Doreen, even, let me use this example with Regina. You know, Ray, looking at your kids, you know what is innate and what they have acquired through education.
Yep.
And you know for a fact that there's some things that they're very good at, but without having gone through the education that they have, they wouldn't have been able to polish up or understand how to execute these innate skills or abilities that they're born with.
Yes.
So looking at this argument that some leaders are
chosen
leaders, and having the education requirement will be locking them out, is it surely a valid argument?
It is not founded anywhere, not even in law or anything, because what is the role of the legislature? It is to come up with law. So what will you be doing as a leader who is charged with, you know, legislation, and you even do not understand what it is that you're doing? Secondly, the issue that leaders are chosen by God. But if we go back to what the faith, the Christian doctrine talks about leadership, leadership that is founded by Christ is about servant leadership, where I want to take you back to the Bible. Jesus washed his disciples' feet, right? That is a source of, that is a kind of leadership. When they talk about God chosen, appointed, the Christian doctrine is about servant leadership. But how many of our leaders, let's just give a blanket overview today, a blanket overview. How many have gotten their hands dirty? We're not talking about this year. We're talking about even last year or even beginning of their term, to even just help the lives of their constituents. How many? Or do they just like hearing, yes, Mheshimiwa, yes, umesema, yes, yes. It's all about them taking but never giving. So from where I sit at this point, the Constitution, the spirit of the Constitution was good because it foresaw what we require as a law to elevate our status as Kenya. But the people who are charged with the implementation lack the goodwill to actually see this through. And we have just predicted these bills that want to scrap that particular aspect might as well sail through.
And you know, we have seen instances where, looking at the National Assembly when they are having the motions and debates, we have seen some members struggle to communicate. When they go on ground, and these videos usually turns to memes.
And we laugh about it.
Some have struggled with basic communication. Then you want to support that you shouldn't be required to have a certain level of education to run for public office? How will you express my concerns and my ideas? Mimi kama mama mbogo huko hivyo chini, mwenye siwezi ongea hiyo kizungu. How will you go express what the local people need to other members and the powers that be above you to be able to get the assistance that you need to come and help me.
Good question. Good question. And on that communication, we take a breather. We'll be right back.